want to know, first of all, was fighting al-Qaeda a top priority for the Clinton administration from 1998 to the year 2001? How high of priority was it in that Clinton administration during that time period?
My impression was that fighting terrorism in general and fighting al-Qaeda in particular were an extraordinarily high priority in the Clinton administration, certainly no higher priority. There were priorities probably of equal importance, such as the Middle East peace process, but I certainly don't know of one that was any higher in the priority of that administration.
With respect to the Bush administration, from the time they took office until September 11th, 2001, you had much to deal with: Russia, China, G8, the Middle East. How high a priority was fighting al-Qaeda in the Bush administration?
I believe the Bush administration in the first 8 months considered terrorism an important issue, but not an urgent issue. President Bush himself says as much in his interview with Bob Woodward in the book Bush at War. He said, "I didn't feel a sense of urgency." George Tenet and I tried very hard to create a sense of urgency by seeing to it that intelligence reports on the al-Qaeda threat were frequently given to the president and other high-level officials. And there was a process underway to address al-Qaeda. But although I continued to say it was an urgent problem, I don't think it was ever treated that way.
In addition to Afghan-based al-Qaeda roots of the September 11 attacks, the FBI reports that the operational planning for the September 11 attacks took place in overseas locations, most notably Germany, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates. Malaysia. Two principal hijackers in the September 11 attacks, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, entered the United States on a flight from Bangkok on January 15, 2000. A week after leaving a meeting in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, three of the principals, Muhammad Atta, Marwan al-Shehi, and Ziad Jarrah, entered the United States in May and June of 2000 from or through Europe. Atta, al-Shehi, and Jarrah had lived in Hamburg, Germany, where they associated with each other in various ways. A sixth principal, Hani Hanjour, had been in the United States off and on since October of 1991. In June 18th, testimony at a joint inquiry hearing, the director of the Central Intelligence Agency described al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar as al-Qaeda veterans. They had been involved with al-Qaeda for 6 years before September 11th, 2001, having trained and fought under al-Qaeda auspices in 3 different countries. Al-Hazmi first traveled to Afghanistan in 1993 as a teenager and came into contact with a key al-Qaeda facilitator in Saudi Arabia in 1994. In 1995, al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar traveled to Bosnia to fight with other Muslims against the Serbs. Al-Hazmi probably came into contact with al-Qaeda leader Abu Zubaydah when Zubaydah visited Saudi Arabia in 1996 to convince young Saudis to attend al-Qaeda camps in Afghanistan. Sometime before 1998, al-Hazmi returned to Afghanistan and swore loyalty to bin Laden. He fought against the Northern Alliance, possibly with his brother Salem, another of the hijackers, and returned to Saudi Arabia in early 1999. Where? Redacted. He disclosed information about the East Africa embassy bombings. Al-Mihdhar's first trip to the Afghanistan training camps was in early 1996. In 1998, al-Mihdhar traveled to Afghanistan and swore allegiance to bin Laden. In April 1999, Nawaf al-Hazmi, Salim al-Hazmi, and Khalid al-Mihdhar obtained visas through the U.S. consulate in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi then traveled to Afghanistan and participated in special training, which, according to the Director of Central Intelligence, may have been facilitated by Khalid, also known as Tawfiq bin Attash, who also directed the USS Cole operation. A USS Cole suicide bomber also participated in that training. From Yemen, Khalid al-Mihdhar traveled to Kuala Lumpur, arriving on January 5, 2000. There, he met Nawaf al-Hazmi, who had traveled to Malaysia from Pakistan. In Malaysia, the two met Khalid at a condominium owned by Yazid Sufat, who later signed letters of introduction on behalf of Zacharias Moussaoui that were found in Moussaoui's possessions after the September 11 attacks. Malaysian police arrested Sufat in December of 2001 after they developed information they had procured 4 tons of bomb material, ammonium nitrate, from an Indonesian jihad cell. Germany. In testimony before the joint inquiry, the Director of Central Intelligence, George Tenet, described the significant characteristics that were shared by Mohammed Atta, Marwan al-Shehi, and Ziad Jarrah, the September 11 hijackers who most likely piloted the airplanes that the groups they were part of commandeered. The 3 were intelligent, spoke English, and were proficient in several other languages, and were familiar with Western society. They were also educated in technical subjects and had mastered skills necessary to pilot planes. Of particular note, the 3 were part of a group of young Muslim men in Hamburg, Germany, who came from different countries and backgrounds, but attended the same mosques, shared acquaintances, and were drawn together by Islamist views and disenfranchisement with the West. Atta was born in Egypt in 1968. He graduated from Cairo University with a degree in architectural engineering in 1990 and began attending the Technical University in Hamburg in 1992. Between 1996 and 1998, Atta traveled to the Middle East, and then returned to Germany. Al-Shehi was born in the United Arab Emirates in 1978. A sergeant in the Army, he was sent to Germany for technical studies in 1996. In 1997 and 98, he studied English at the University of Bonn and electrical engineering at the Technical University in Hamburg. Ziad Jarrah was born in Lebanon in 1975. He attended the Fachhochschule, a technical university in Hamburg, from 1996 to 2000, studying aircraft construction and maintenance. While in Germany, Atta, al-Shehi, and Jarrah, according to FBI documents, kept company with a loosely organized group of associates comprised of roommates, co-workers, and mosque colleagues. 3 associates, Ramzi bin al-Shib, Saeed Bahaji, and Zakaria Essabar, became subjects of post-September 11 German arrest warrants for alleged membership in a terrorist organization and for murder and aircraft piracy. A 4th, Munir el-Muntasek, is on trial in Hamburg on those charges. Ramzi bin al-Shib, who was born in Yemen in 1972 and entered Germany in 1995, is described as a supporting conspirator in the Moussaoui indictment. In August 2000, Ziad Jarrah attempted to enroll Ramzi bin al-Shib in the Florida Flight Training Center where Jarrah was taking lessons. On August 15th, Ramzi bin al-Shib sent a $2,200 wire transfer to the school for tuition, and in July and September, he transferred funds to al-Shehi in Florida. Between May and October of 2000, bin al-Shib unsuccessfully attempted 4 times, 3 in Germany and once in Yemen, to obtain a visa to travel to the United States. Between December 2nd and 9th, 2000, Ramzi bin al-Shib was in London. Moussaoui flew from London to Pakistan on December 9th. FBI Director Robert Mueller testified that Ramzi bin al-Shib was a significant money person. The Moussaoui indictment charges that Ramzi bin al-Shib received $15,000 in wire transfers from the United Arab Emirates on or about July 30th and 31 of 2001, and that he wired $14,000 to Moussaoui in Oklahoma on or about August 1st and 3rd from train stations in Dusseldorf and Hamburg. The Director of Central Intelligence, George Tenet, testified that after September 11, 2001, CIA received reports identifying bin al-Shibh as an important al-Qaeda operative. The agency suspects that, unlike the 3 Hamburg pilots, he may have been associated with al-Qaeda even before moving to Germany in 1995. Bin al-Shibh flew to Spain in early September of 2001. He disappeared until an interview with Al Jazeera was aired in September of 2002, and he was captured in Pakistan on September 11, 2002. Ramzi bin al-Shibh is now being held at an undisclosed location. Mohammed Atta lived at Marienstrasse 54 in Hamburg with Ramzi bin al-Shibh, Essebar, and Bahaji. Director Tenet testified that bin al-Shibh failed to obtain a U.S. visa, another cell member. Essebar tried on 2 occasions in December 2000 and failed to obtain a visa in January 2001 to travel to Florida, where Mohammed Atta and Marwan al-Shehi were there. Uncorroborated sources report that Essebar was in Afghanistan in late September 2001. Bahaji left Germany on September 3, 2001 for Pakistan. Uncorroborated sources also placed him in Afghanistan in late September 2001. Director of Central Intelligence George Tenet testified that Mohammed Haydar Zamar was an acquaintance of members of Mohammed Atta's circle in Hamburg, where Zamar lived. Zamar, a German citizen born in Syria in 1961, was described by Tenet as a known al-Qaeda associate active in Islamic extremist circles since the 1980s, who trained and fought in Afghanistan in 1991 and in Bosnia in 1995, and returned to Afghanistan a number of times between 1995 and 2000. It has been reported that U.S. and German officials believed that Zamar is a pivotal figure in understanding the genesis of the September 11 attacks. Tenet told the joint inquiry that Zamar was taken into custody by the Moroccans, where he traveled to Morocco to divorce his wife, and that he was involved and moved from Morocco into Syrian custody, where he currently remains. It has also been reported that Zamar has provided details about the September 11 attacks to U.S. investigators. According to DCI Tenet, Zamar has said that he met Mohammed Atta, Marwan al-Shehi, and Ziad Jarrah in the late 1990s in Hamburg's Al-Quds Mosque, and he persuaded them to travel to Afghanistan to join the jihad. Director Tenet testified that Mohammed Atta may have traveled to Afghanistan for the first time in early 1998. In June 1998, he applied for a new passport in Egypt, although his old one had not expired. This suggested, according to the Director of Central Intelligence, that he might have been trying to hide evidence of his travel to Afghanistan. On November 29, 1999, Mohammed Atta flew from Hamburg to Istanbul and then to Karachi. He left Pakistan to return to Hamburg on February 25, 2000. The fall of 1999, Marwan al-Shehi stayed at bin Laden's Kandahar guest house while awaiting transportation to Pakistan for medical treatment. He returned to Germany in January 2000. According to FBI information, Atta and al-Shehi were both present at bin Laden facilities in Kandahar in December of 1999. Director Tenet noted that Jarrah's travel at this time mirrored Atta's, as Jarrah flew from Hamburg to Karachi on November 25, 1999, and stayed in Pakistan for 2 months. There are indications that Ramzi bin al-Shibh was in Afghanistan in 1998 and had been seen at the Khaldean camp or guest house in late 1998. The Moussaoui indictment alleges that Moussaoui had been present at the Khaldean camp in or about April 1998.